Hey, I'm Kyle Powell, and I'm a photographer from Dallas, Texas. This morning I went out and I made some photos down in the Deep Ellum and downtown areas of Dallas. I took my camera out alongside with my GoPro to kind of give you a behind the scenes look at what I was doing. After this clip, I'll kind of sit down and talk with you about my thoughts and what was going on, and I hope you enjoy.
So as it turns out, as I was looking through the film for today, I realized that my GoPro for the point of view shots of behind the scenes of what I was doing was pointed too low, and so it was looking at people's feet and their lower half of their body for most of the time. And so as we're starting this out, I ask for a little bit of grace in getting all of these things worked out, but instead of doing a kind of walkthrough of what I was looking at, what I was looking for, and going shot by shot, we're just going to take a look at some of my favorite photos from the day, kind of talk through what I saw, what descriptions I can give you, and then kind of go from there. But hopefully that will be interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think about this conversation, and hopefully next time the GoPro will actually be aimed. So this first shot was at a lawn care place right in the middle of the farmer's market. It was super busy. They had lots of pumpkins and stuff out, and I got a couple of shots of that I'm going to throw up on my Instagram story from today. But this first shot here is a guy who was walking down the middle of the center of the store, and I happened to catch him ahead of him coming in here, so I was able to compose the shot. Here's the original. And then here it is cropped in a little bit to kind of make him a little bit more of the center of focus. I just think it's kind of like a standard street shot of people working, doing their job. There's a lot of that today since we were at the farmer's market and it was busy and there was lots of people doing things. So that's kind of going to be a theme of that, of people shopping or of people working, and then a couple other types scattered in as well. This second shot is simply a display case of cupcakes and some delicious looking desserts. I smiled at the lady who was working there. She was on the phone, so I kind of motioned if I could take a photo of it, and she just gave me a thumbs up. And just wanted to take a photo of this because this was really the first display that had caught my eye while I was going through, and thought it looked just really nice looking. But you can tell kind of as these photos go that there is a warm-up period where they're pretty simple shots and then they get a little bit more in the groove. And I think that's something about street photography specifically that often takes a while. And even in portraiture or working in a studio or whatever, there are times where the first shots for both the photographer and whoever you're working with or working around, it takes a while for you to warm up, and the best shots come a little bit later on. So this next shot is a woman who was working in her stand. She was selling scarves and other hand-stitched things, it looked like. And she was talking on the phone for the longest time, and there was some musicians playing across the way from her. And right before I snapped this photo, somebody dropped something back behind me, and it made a loud crash, just like right behind me. So she looked over really quick, and I happened to be scanning that way. And so you see that she's really surprised, and it looks like she's almost looking at me, but don't worry, she's not just staring me down. But I really just liked the amount of emotion that was in her eyes in this one. This next one is one of my favorites simply because I'm a dog lover, but I saw this woman carrying her looks like a little doodle puppy, in a backpack from across the inside of the farmer's market across the way. And so I was trying to chase her down without causing too much of a scene to get a good shot of this little pup. And while she's a little bit out of focus, I still think it conveys a lot of emotion and a lot of just absolutely adorableness or cuteness or whatever you want to call it. But I'm a sucker for these little dogs and had to go and get this shot. These next three are all in the same vein. I walked into a closed-in portion or an inside portion of the farmer's market where they have a bunch of restaurants and little shops that you can go to. And all three of these were people working in their specific little booth. And so this first one is a photo of a guy working at a artisan cheese place. They make charcuterie boards and other things there. And he was just cutting away at some cheese, and just loved how you could see in and see exactly what it was he was doing. This next one is a guy, I believe this is either a seafood place or maybe it's the deli right next to it, I can't remember. But he's sitting there explaining some stuff. Then he's pointing out where another booth that these ladies were looking for was, and they were having a great time. They were laughing and talking, but I just loved being able to capture something like this. And then this last one was this guy talking on his phone, doing some sort of work on his phone. And I took a first shot a little bit higher, as you can see here. And then I noticed that these two little things right here down at the foreground were kind of making a little frame. And so I dropped down and I took what I thought was going to be my favorite shot of the day. It didn't quite turn out. Like I said, I'm still learning and trying, just like the GoPro mishap we had. But this shot, I think, is one of my favorites from the day. It's not quite there, but I thought it was a good one. You can't go to downtown and not expect to take a cityscape photo. And so they were doing some construction on what looks to be either a new business building or possibly some apartment high-rises. And I just love the composition and the contrast between this new building going up with the crane up above it and this older building that's starting to show a little bit of where it's in the historic part of downtown. So this last one holds a very special place in my heart because I was walking through, this is at that place where we started at the very beginning, and I was walking back to my car, and I saw this father and son taking a photo inside of this little truck. And I was like, oh, this is super cute. I'm going to take a photo of it. And when I got back to my computer to edit this photo, I realized that I actually know this guy. He's a friend of mine, and that's his son. And they just had a new baby, he and his wife. And so he was just out spending some time with his boy, and I was able to snap this picture and then send it to him. And I was like, this is the smallest of worlds, but it was really awesome. And I was glad that I was able to capture it.
Well, as you can tell from this video, things didn't go quite according to plan, and I feel like that's probably going to be the case in a lot of these, where we're going to set out to do something, we're going to try and go take some amazing photos, we're going to get close in sometimes we're going to nail it, other times like today, just everything that could go wrong seems to go wrong. I still had a great time going out there, kind of explaining my thought process, what I was looking at, what I was seeing, why I took what I took. But I know that the longer that I'm doing this, the more that I'm getting feedback from people like you and continuing to hone my craft, the more I'm going to grow and develop as a street photographer. So thanks again for stopping by. If you would, please hit subscribe. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. If you happen to see this, tell me how you saw it, and I would love to hear from you. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you next time.